Art had always been my escape, but that night the art room felt like a trap. I'd stayed late to finish a painting, a sprawling canvas of a misty forest, my final project for the semester. The rest of the school was dark and silent, the kind of silence that felt alive, pressing in on you. The overhead lights flickered faintly as I mixed shades of green, trying to ignore the eerie hum of the ventilation system. I glanced at the clock. Too late to still be here, but I couldn't leave the painting unfinished. That's when I noticed the first anomaly. The painting looked different. The trees I'd meticulously painted earlier seemed to have shifted. One tree, bent and twisted, now loomed larger in the foreground, its branches clawing at the sky. I shook my head. Fatigue was messing with my perception. "Just finish this," I muttered, dipping my brush into the palette. As the brush touched the canvas, the hum grew louder, almost like a whisper. It wasn't coming from the vents, it was coming from the painting. The mist in the painting swirled, moving unnaturally. I leaned closer, squinting, and the forest floor took on terrifying clarity. Shadows moving between the trees. A crash behind me sent me spinning around. A clay sculpture of a woman had fallen from its pedestal. At least that's what I told myself, until her head tilted upward, blank eyes staring directly at me. I backed away, bumping into another pedestal. A jagged vase wobbled but didn't fall. Turning back to my canvas, I froze. The twisted tree was gone. In its place stood a shadowy figure in the fog. A chill ran down my spine. Nope, 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 nope. I turned to leave, but the door to the art room was shut. My fingers fumbled with the handle, but it wouldn't budge. Locked. The whispers grew louder, calling my name. I whipped around. The sculptures loomed like forgotten ghosts in the dim light. One particularly grotesque painting, a snarling wolfman, shifted as I stared at it. Its eyes glowed faintly red and its mouth opened ever so slightly, revealing sharp teeth. My breath quickened. The hum returned, vibrating through the floor. The shelves rattled, brushes falling to the ground. Heart pounding, I backed into the corner of the room. The sculptures moved, not all at once, but one by one. A plaster bust twisted on its stand, the cracked head tilting unnaturally. A half-finished child figure stood straighter, its empty sockets focused on me. I grabbed the nearest object, a paintbrush, and held it like a weapon. Pathetic, but it was all I had. "This isn't real," I whispered. "It's just exhaustion." The room disagreed. The painting of the forest now showed me. My likeness stumbled between the trees, the shadowy figure close behind. A tendril of paint, thick, black and wet, slithered across the floor from the canvas. "No, no, no," I shouted, kicking at it. The tendril recoiled, retreating into the painting, but the shadowy figure inched closer to my painted self. I slammed my fists against the door. "Help! Somebody!" My voice echoed and was swallowed by laughter. Low, guttural, and coming from the sculptures. They were all turned toward me now, faces twisted into grotesque grins. The wolfman's portrait snarled, its teeth fully bared. The clay woman stretched out her arms, reaching for me. The whispers grew deafening, overlapping and chanting my name. My pulse roared in my ears as the tendril slithered out again, faster this time. It coiled around my ankle, pulling me toward the canvas. I clawed at the floor, desperate, but the tendril was impossibly strong. "No!" I screamed, grabbing a metal ruler. I slashed at the tendril and it shrieked, retreating once more. But the shadow in the painting was now right behind my likeness, its hand outstretched. The room convulsed, the air thick with the smell of turpentine and decay. The sculptures began climbing down from their pedestals, their movements jerky and unnatural. I bolted into the supply closet, slamming the door behind me. In the suffocating darkness, the whispers were still there. My phone. I fumbled for it in my pocket, shaking. The screen lit up, but there were no signal bars. Just one message. "You can't leave." A loud pounding on the closet door made me drop the phone. The sculptures were outside, their laughter low and guttural. I turned to the walls. They were covered in drawings. Not just any drawings, mine. Each one showed a grotesque version of me. In one, I was submerged in black paint, my mouth open in a silent scream. In another, I was tangled in vines in a forest of shadows. A new drawing appeared, lines etching themselves before my eyes. It showed me in the closet, surrounded by the laughing sculptures. I screamed and threw the door open, running back into the art room. The canvas of the forest now stretched across the entire far wall, impossibly large. The shadowy figure stepped out, dripping with dark paint. Its featureless face turned toward me, and it raised a hand. Tendrils erupted from the canvas, wrapping around my arms and legs, pulling me closer. "No, let me go," I thrashed, but the tendrils tightened. I screamed as they dragged me into the canvas, but I didn't disappear. I was still in the art room, or some version of it. Everything was muted, the colors flat and lifeless. The canvas was now blank except for the faint outline of the forest. Then I saw myself. The real me, or what used to be me, was at the easel, painting furiously. Its movements were mechanical, jerky. "Hey!" I shouted, but my voice came out hollow, barely audible. The figure didn't respond. It turned to another canvas and started a new painting. I turned back to the rest of the room and froze. The sculptures and paintings were alive, trapped figures screaming silently, their eyes filled with despair. My reflection in the glass of the supply cabinet caught my attention. My skin was cracked, like dried paint, my features an unfinished mess. The door to the art room creaked open. Another student stepped in, whistling softly, oblivious. The tendrils of paint slithered toward him as the whispers started again, and I realized the truth. I wasn't just trapped. I was part of the art room now. Forever.